WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting, well, rare and exotic whiskeys. A 10-year-old Edradour single cask strength. Whiskybase number 222738. Now, this was distilled on the 10th of November 2010, bottled on the 1st of May 2021. Where has this bottle been for the last year and a half? And I don't know. All right, so this actually arrived in Germany and was presented for the first time in Germany in December of 2022. Middle, not end, not even the beginning. And we have here 59.1% ABV, cask number 380, and we have 217 bottles, which is about right. Price, €80, $79.90. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this bottle over here at the moment and just do this like that. This is the third and the last video of this series for me for Edradour. I'll show those bottles in a second, Marsala, Bordeaux, and the Bourbon. I personally think it's fantastic that the Distillery Edradour gave us in Germany with their importer together, Kirsch Import, the possibility to try these wonderful single casks. A bourbon matured cask strength 10-year-old Edradour. I don't know of very many cask strength bourbon, I want to say virgin oak, so it's bourbon cask matured products. So I know a lot of them straight from the barrels with a lot of sherry influence and so on, but I'm not aware of very, very many that just were the bourbon. So on the nose, okay, now this is, what it doesn't do is it doesn't jump out at you. All right, it's a little subtle. I do get like a herbal tea moment with some vanilla, a little bit of a caramel. What I don't get a sweetness. It's not like we sometimes talk about the barley sugars. None. Edradour seems to have a distillery character. Sometimes I think I got like 2 of the 3 this time mustard seed. Not mustard, but I don't know if you ever opened a package of mustard seed. I like mustard seed. You have that little bit of whiff of that mustard seed powder. Vanilla. 217 bottles, so 150 some liters were left in the cask at the end, so nowhere is anywhere the mention that it is first fill bourbon. Doesn't have to be. I would not recognize this and say, oh, that's a typical Edradour moment. I've had the 10-year-old, which I really enjoy. I've had the Caledonia. I've had quite a few other Edradours. Ballachin, the heated Edradour is not my cup of tea. I have not made it to the distillery yet. I have to maybe do that next year or the year after that. Cheers. This is not, how do I say this pleasantly? This is not grabbing your attention, say, here I am, you can't miss me. It has, yeah. Now the 59.1% ABV is fairly well integrated. The heat, the burn, there's a little bit of pepper at the end. As I mentioned, there's that herbal tea moment. Think a little bit of ricola, but as a tea. There's a spice of the oak as well. There's some vanilla going on there without it being powder sugar sweet. It's a solid, good whiskey. It's a C, and on a good day, it could be a C plus whiskey. Now, my problem is €80 for this bottle. Ouch. I'm not used to the prices at the moment. They're still way too high, and I know this is for the uniqueness, it's almost like a B plus. How many single cask, 10-year-old cask strength Edradours from a bourbon cask have you seen out there? Don't know. Hardly any. And so that's fabulous. And if you're looking for this, that's great. Now I'm going to pull out the other three. So I'm going to have a little, I need a little bit of room here. So this is the bourbon. Value for money, I'm going to give this a C minus D plus. This is something you buy if you want to, but it's not something I can actually recommend going out and buying. Now, I actually bought all three of these at once, and I did a bottle share. And I made a mistake. All right, what was my mistake? I bought all three, and I offered all three as individual. This is something left from my German video. I offered them individually, not as a set. And that was my problem because the Marsala was sold out almost instantly. The Bordeaux sold out fairly quickly. And I'm still left with some of the bourbon, which shows a little bit of our tastes here in at least in my community. So I still have 15 CLs left of this. I have none of this, and I actually have had, up until just recently, still 5 CL that someone never actually wanted to have. So I'll be filling these up. The way my channel works is I actually buy these bottles. I do a bottle share of the bottles. Every single bottle you see here basically is a bottle share. I fill these up in little sample bottles, 5 CLs, 10 CL bottles, and so on. And I send them out legally in Germany with the mail to the people who actually get these samples and then can try them as well. So therefore, I can buy the bottles, I can do a video independently, and I can actually help if it's 5 CL, 570 divided by 5, 14. I have something for me to taste here, so 13 sample bottles go out. So that means I had the work of 39 samples I have to send out just for these three. And yeah, it's a little bit of work behind the scenes that when I started the channel, did not really think about. When I first started my channel, I bought bottles and I did a review and then I put them on the shelf. And then, yeah, I bought new bottles and did a review and put them on a shelf. And then it was like, wait, I have no more shelf space. And my bank account was going down because, hey, whiskey is expensive. And I've been doing now, at least in German, for the last 5 years, at least if not more than one video a day. So I don't think anyone else in the world has more videos, whiskey videos online than I do. So, and that's a little bit of a problem. But with this system, it works. And so that's very, very good. And by the way, I only send those samples to people within Germany. Sorry, sending across borders in Europe is not as easy as it could or should be. But that's that. Now, if I nose this, I go, oh yeah, I remember that. There's a sweetness. Said the word sweet. There's a vanilla, I wanted to say instead of the vanilla herbalness. I go over here to the Marsala. I'm transported immediately to Marsala chicken. I'm at an Indian restaurant eating Marsala chicken, and it's like, that's the flavor of Marsala. So unfortunately, that's what I associate with Marsala chicken. And I go over here to my Bordeaux, and I go, oh yeah, someone put sulfur, a sulfur candle in those casks, and the distillate picked up that sulfur oxide, which is a shame, which ruins this whiskey. There are many, many people out there that are insensitive to sulfur. Unfortunately, I'm fairly sensitive, and therefore that's what I smell, and I taste it even stronger than that. So that ruins this for me, unfortunately. All right. So this is my favorite, the Marsala. So I'm going to start with this. Cheers. What is fascinating, 60.6%. Very drinkable. There is a little bit of heat, but still very drinkable. Put some water in this, it actually turns out even better. And that Marsala, wow. These are not cask finishes. These are full maturation. So this was an entire 10 years in a Marsala cask. This was 9 entire years in a Bordeaux cask. And this was, well, nothing special here. That's why I still have something left. 10 years in a bourbon cask. That is fantastic. I did not know that I like Marsala so well. or so much, and I did not know that it goes together so well with the distillate of Edradour. Be on the lookout if you ever can find a Marsala and Edradour. At least this bottle is harmony. The Bordeaux, as I mentioned, we have a little bit of that sulfur going on there from those transporting those casks from France up to Scotland and putting that sulfur candle in there, unfortunately. If I black out the sulfur, there's that red Bordeaux wine is there. There's a little bit of a tartness in my mouth. There's that red. It's more of a currant, red currant, black currant, currant. There's a black plum. There's like a holder, like a elderberry moment going on here. It's good, but it's intensive, but it's dark. And we go over finally to the bourbon. By the way, I like this, and then this, and this the least. Mm. Mm-hmm. This one shines after that one. Oh, one. Nice, two. And after this is actually pushed up to almost like a C plus, and the value for money is a C minus. This really, really shines. All by itself, it's like, but then in comparison to something else, whoa. Very, very nice. Little bit of a wood tartness at the end, but still nice. Good job. My question of the day. We have a set of three very, very different bottles. Now, the first thing I'm going to ask is, would you even be interested in, as a consumer, in buying these three bottles at once? Most people are going to probably say, no. I just don't have 240 euros laying around to buy three bottles at once. Other people are like, why not? All right. So they might just go for these two special ones and leave the bourbon there. But hey, why not? Glenallachie did, for example, some different series. They had like a virgin oak cask finish with Spanish oak, French oak, chinkapin. They've done some other things. I know Lady the Glen, they once did something. They took I think it was actually a bourbon barrel, took a third of it, put it into bourbon. Put it into port, put a third of it into sherry, and left that 1/3 in the bourbon barrel, a hogshead I think it was, and then they bottled all three, and then you can actually compare those three. I thought that idea was great. Now, my question is, if you're interested in buying like a set of three bottles to be able to compare them, Maker's Mark now have the upper shelves, or the upper racks and the lower racks, that you can compare the two of them and see what the influence is on the bourbon. I love this concept. I love this idea. I get excited about it. And that's my second question. What comparison whiskeys would you like to have? So I think this is actually a very, very good comparison. Taking maybe, taking, let's say here we have the bourbon for 10 years, like a Glenmorangie often does. And then leave it for one more year in the cask. Have a sister cask, or what I would do is I would empty all three of them. I would do that. Put it into a vatting tank. Put one into I'm going to say Madeira cask. This is what I would love to see. A good Madeira cask, fill that up. Then I would actually fill up a good Armagnac cask. And then whatever was left, I'd put back into a bourbon barrel and then bottle all three of these at the same time. After a year of finishing, 6 months, 9 months, whatever. So I'd have the standard, same stuff. It just aged a little bit longer. I'd have the Madeira and I'd have the Armagnac. And I would like to have those three as a comparison. Now you can be boring and say, hey, we have the, the bourbon, the port, and the sherry. Boring. Or you could go a little bit more exotic Yeah, you could go, okay, normal bourbon, and you'd go for tequila and mezcal. You could go for normal, the bourbon barrel, and you could go with a stout and IPA. You could, I mean, there are so many different things you could do. You could just say, forget the normal. I want an IPA, I want a stout, and I want a uh, lager. What else? What other types of beers do we have there? A third type of beer. All right, so why not? Why not? So I could go for a well, what do we have? We have port basically from Portugal. We have port from California, and we have a quasi port from Australia. Take those three different casks and see what those port wine casks do to the exact same distillate, and then try those. I think these experiments, there's like no limit. What are some of the things that would interest you? That would be what I'd be interested in to hearing. Write it down in the chat. C to C plus depends on what you had before. A D plus 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 C minus to a C minus for price, 80 euros, 80 euros, 80 euros. I find that these are almost, for some reason my brain says Bordeaux casks cost more, therefore this can cost more. Marsala definitely costs more, so that, and a bourbon cask is like, well, why is it the same price? That would be like, it should be 5 euros cheaper. All right. Thank you very much for watching, subscribing, telling others, and sharing. My channel is continuing to grow, and that's great to see that. I often have the privilege over here in Germany/Europe to taste many, many products, and a lot of single cask products you might not ever see. And it's my pleasure to introduce those to you and always add a little bit of extra information along with this. All the best. See you soon. Whiskey Jason here. Bye-bye.